This is Ryan with LeafSpring Schools. I wanted to thank you for taking a little bit of time to learn about LeafSpring today. This webinar is only about 10 minutes long, so it shouldn't take too much of your time, but it'll give you a great overview on the LeafSpring franchising opportunity. So a little bit about the history of LeafSpring. We were founded in 1989. The original name of our company was Rainbow Station. And we were founded by a pediatric nurse by the name of Gail Johnson. And what Gail had seen as she was looking through at the health of children and different preschool offerings is that schools were falling short of really focusing on the total wellness of a child. Meaning that, when you have a child and you're trying to educate them and raise them, it's more than just teaching them how to read or teaching them things, or on the other side, it's more than just keeping them healthy, that there really has to be a holistic approach at educating and bringing that child up. And as she looked through at different preschools, she realized that there were some that were doing a good job at educating, but they were falling short in other areas. And she really wanted to incorporate that wellness aspect into early childhood daycare and education. So we launched our first school in 1989. It was immediately very popular, so much so that 2 years later we actually opened a second location, and a couple years later we opened a third location. As we've grown, we've won a bunch of different awards, but some have really helped us to kind of push and continue to grow. You can look here at kind of the timeline of different things, but we started franchising in the early 2000s. We've sold several franchises. We've got several more in development at this point. A big thing to note is that we've never closed a location. And so every LeafSpring that's ever been opened has been successful and continues to be successful. So just a little bit on why the world needs LeafSpring, or to take that more to a local level, why your community needs LeafSpring. If you've looked around or if you've had any experience with existing daycares or preschools, you've seen there's typically two options. The first is in somebody's basement, right? It is somebody that's kind of doing this as a side job, or they've got a little preschool that they've built out in their place in their basement, and they've got a playground in the backyard. The second is you've got kind of smaller schools that have popped up all over the place. You've even got some big ones, but they genuinely lack some structure. They lack environment. They're very sterile, or it's four walls and a roof. What LeafSpring is, we are a full campus that is immediately noticeable how different we are when somebody walks onto our campus or walks into one of our facilities. They can see how different we are than every other preschool or daycare they've ever seen. Education, it really is not a one size fits all, and that's what you see a lot of these places approach preschool and daycare as, is it's just like, this is the program, everybody fits in, and they put them in front of a TV, or they start teaching them a curriculum that's not necessarily catered for their individual needs. What's so great about LeafSpring and what we do is this quote right here, that we empower children to discover their individual gifts and talents. Our curriculum is based on helping children discover what they're good at, what they're interested in, and gain confidence through that. And the last part, a big reason why your community needs LeafSpring, is it really is about wellness, right? This child wellness is part of our mission. The get well place is a big deal. If you've ever had a child that's been sick, and not really sick, but sick enough that they won't let them go to daycare, won't let them go to the preschool. You see how difficult that is on a family to try to rearrange schedules and to handle that. Whereas, with LeafSpring, we've got a trained medical professional on our campus at all times. Our Get Well place really is something fantastic. And then the full service of what we do. So our hours are different than typical daycares and preschools. We serve meals to our children. We provide open spaces. We have huge playgrounds, and we're genuinely a part of that community. And it's a big thing to have in your neighborhood. This next slide is important just because you see, why what we are doing is so important. And obviously, if you're here, you're on board with that. But the top, our tagline, learn early, live well, lead. We focus on that a lot. We really want to create leaders through our schools. So you can take some time and look through some of these PowerPoints, but obviously, getting children interested in education and getting started on the education process early is very important to their development. As you move on to the next slide, this just kind of gives a breakdown of what our schools are. I mean, we are a full campus facility. We've got a preschool, and then we've also got the village. The village is primarily for the after school programs and for some of the older kids. But you can look through and there's plenty of pictures and things and videos that we'll be sending you that you'll be able to get a good idea of what our campuses look like. But this will just kind of give you an idea of kind of how our schools are laid out and the structure of each location. So moving on to this, I mean, why have we been able to be so successful? Why do families come to LeafSpring and why do they stay there? It comes down to a lot of how we've set up the environment and the community aspect of our locations. But because we've got such a great learning environment and we've got great facilities, we have the ability to attract really great teachers and they stay around. And parents love that. They love that their child gets to have the same teacher as their child that was 2 or 3 years older than them. Our buildings are big. We talked about that. We've got big playgrounds. We've got a lot of space for the kids to move. We've got the Get Well place where we've always got a licensed medical professional on campus. We've got incredible, let's just call our culture, right? So our leadership programs, our curriculum, all these types of things are done to really create leadership within children. We're all inclusive. We touched on that, but the meals, diapers and wipes for the daycare, school transportation, those are all included in our tuition, and they're things that nobody else can really provide. We are our age groups are structured on the academic year cycle. So all the kids are staying together. So they're going from this age group to this age group to the next age group to the next age group, just like you would when you go from first grade to second grade and on. So they get used to that kind of environment. They get to stay with their peer group. We're always looking for ways to make our curriculum better and to stay on top of what's current with the evolving curriculum and approach to education. And we're a very proven model. We have accreditations that other preschools and daycares do not offer. And I mentioned earlier in this presentation, we've never closed a school. So when families come to us, they stay with us. And it's cool to be a part of this structure as families come up through the school. I mean, you're going to run into people in grocery stores and you're going to be able to see multiple ages of children that you have been able to have an impact on their lives. You're going to get to watch an entire family grow. If you look at the next slide, just some reviews. I just pulled a few of them off, but you can go online, you can read about reviews. The big thing with us, I mean, families come back. It's not just getting a student to come to school or to come to daycare. We're getting entire families. Once somebody's there, they're never going anywhere else. And that's a big testament to what we're doing and how we're doing things the right way. So another big aspect of LeafSpring is why do our franchisees love us? So why are people going into business with us once they have a location? Why are they opening a second location? But this slide just kind of breaks that down. We've obviously got a ton of experience with this. We've got a model that ensures that you're financially successful. We're very competitive as far as our fee structure and our royalty structure when you look at other competitors. But the biggest thing for us is we really do have that premium brand, that premium location. What we're providing to people is essentially better than what anybody else is doing out there. And we are not in this to go out and try to provide the cheapest option for kids in the community or for families. We're out there to provide the best opportunity for children to be taken care of. And that's what we do. And our franchisees love that aspect. They love the environment that we've created. They love this model. Um, Really quick, kind of how we're different. You can go through this slide, but it doesn't take long. And walking onto one of our campuses and comparing us to any competitor out there, it takes about 2 seconds for you to see just how drastically different we are from everybody else out there that's trying to do this. It's really kind of shocking when you see the difference of what we're doing compared to anybody else out there. This next slide, it just gives you kind of a very high level view on the financials of a Leaf Spring. This is from our item 19 in our franchise disclosure document, which we'll be sending to you soon. But the average cost to open one of our two building campuses is around $6 million. Now, that can vary, and as we go through this process, we'll talk about some options as far as build to suit or other options to get your school up and running that may not require such a significant cash investment. That being said, that investment, the return on that can be pretty great. If you look, the average of our full campus schools in 2018 was doing $2.7 million in revenue at a 29% margin. So our franchisees are really creating a great financial model for themselves to provide a great living and a great lifestyle for them and their family. Um, this kind of touches this next slide on how the child care market stacks up in the U.S. And I'm sure since you're listening to this and you're interested in opening a franchise like this, you're familiar with this. But one thing that I'll touch on, and you can go through and take a look at this slide, but the millennial generation is really, really into making sure their children have the right type of education and making sure the environment that they are in is is different and better than what they're going to find. And it's one of the reasons why we continue to grow and why we continue to be so successful. But we really just provide a atmosphere and a process that is different than what people find anywhere else. So this talks a little bit about what we provide for families and the different service offerings that we have. But we really we cover children all the way from 6 weeks all the way up to 13 years, essentially from 6 weeks old until they finish with elementary school. That's done through our nursery, our preschools, and the village, which is after school activities and things like that. We have the summer camps, the Camp Blue Sky, which will give you an overview of all the great things we're doing. One thing I will point out here at the bottom, the Get Well place, that is something that's available for all the students that are enrolled at LeafSpring, but it's also something that's available for other children throughout the community. So we'll have children at our Get Well place that aren't even enrolled at LeafSpring. They may be going to another preschool or another daycare, but since the other preschool or daycare doesn't provide the services that we provide, when the child is sick, their parents end up bringing them to us to the Get Well place, and we have a fee structure in place for that. And it's also a great recruiter to get parents to actually enroll full time in our schools, which 9 times out of 10 they're already going to be on the waiting list if they're bringing their child to the Get Well place. But it's something cool, and it's an additional revenue stream that LeafSpring has that other schools or other opportunities like this don't offer. So let's talk a little bit about the support that we offer our franchisees. So support from us, I mean, obviously we've been doing this for over 30 years. So we've got years and years of experience and thousands of hours of doing this. And the big reason, I mean, I always tell people the reason you want to buy a franchise is a franchise will enable you to make more money faster than if you were to try to do something on your own, because you get to learn from all the successes and the mistakes that people have made before you. So when you open your LeafSpring, day one, you're going to be doing it with 30 plus years of experience behind it. And, we've learned how to do things the right way. And our support starts at the very beginning with helping you find the right location, design your school, navigate the permit and the construction process. Our marketing support, obviously, which this first slide talks about, is huge. I mean, getting out, helping you get the word out on your location so that you can start enrolling students before your first day. And you can look through this slide and see all the things we do, but we've got everything that you need and more to make sure that the marketing of your location is successful and that you're able to get families there and enrolling. The ongoing and operations support, like I said, we've been doing this for a very long time. We've never had a location close. So we absolutely know what we're doing. We not only have the processes in place, but we have the infrastructure in place. So we've got the computer systems and we've got the programs that are in place that we can look and see how your business is doing and help you improve and continue to make more money and get better at owning this business and growing your business. So let's talk about the next steps. I'm sure by this point you're dying to get your LeafSpring up and running and move forward with this process. So the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is, as soon as you think you might be serious about this, start looking for potential locations. This can typically be the most difficult aspect of getting a LeafSpring open, is finding the right place to do it. So start paying attention now as you're driving through the community. Look for areas that are zoned commercially and that are either a build to suit or for sale. You want about 2.5 to 4 acres. So start keeping an eye out for that immediately. We're going to send you over our franchise disclosure document. That's also called the FDD. That's kind of a big document that gives you all of the ins and outs of being a franchisee with LeafSpring. So there's a separate webinar that will explain kind of how the FDD works and ways to go about reviewing that and learning more that we'll send when we send you that document. There's a territory webinar that we're going to send that talks a little bit more about this location and what we're looking for, how the territories work with LeafSpring. Start looking into your financing. So on that slide, a few slides back where we talk, I mean, a LeafSpring can be a pretty substantial investment. And so make sure you've got your financing in order. You can talk with me about the different ways that we've had franchisees finance their location, and we can talk about the options, but start thinking about that now. We will, as we go through this, when we get closer, we'll schedule a time for you to come and meet the team and tour either one of our schools or several of our schools so that you can really get an idea of what our culture is and we can learn more about you. You can learn about us. We can make sure that this is a good fit. And then we are going to go, go, go. I mean, the process of this, it can seem like it takes a long time, but we really want to put our head down and work as hard as we can and get you open as fast as we can. This is our corporate contact information. My contact is at the bottom of every email. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me with any questions that you have, and I will look forward to talking with you and answering any questions that you have. I appreciate your time. Thank you.